You guys, one of the greatest lies ever told is that you actually have to eat healthy to be good at football. You don't. Not at all, actually. As a matter of fact, you can eat whatever you want and still be good. Nobody likes talking about it because they don't want you to have some of this sweet goodness. We all know that that's just the government trying to stop us from McLovin' this food. Go ahead and get yourself a cheeseburger. Make sure you get some fries. You want energy? Grab one of these radioactive starburst looking. I can taste the death. All right, so you need your fats. Doesn't matter what kind of fats. The more processed, the better. Go ahead and grab one of these. They say it's chicken. Drink as much sugar as possible, okay? The more radioactive and non-healthy looking and non-natural looking it is, the better, all right? What you do, if you really want to train well, you eat this directly before you play. 5 to 6 minutes before the game starts, or training, okay? The closer the better. Nothing better than a good pregame meal. This is delicious. You want to get really hungry, you put it all in your mouth. Flush it down. Let's go play. Woo!
It's starting to feel good.
Hey, Will, you okay? Will.
What's up, guys? This has been one of the most requested videos, and I know most of you guys have been waiting on it for a while, but let's be clear up front. What works for me with regards to nutrition won't necessarily work for you, which is why we went straight to the experts to figure out what's best. We spoke with nutritionists and dietitians that work with top MLS clubs, guys that work with sprinters, and people that are devoted to pushing and getting the best out of their bodies that are working in the sports medicine field. We're gonna answer some of your most asked questions, so let's get started. So as an athlete, the game is going to put specific demands on your body. What you eat is very important. But first, let's take a look at what you should stay away from. Guys, you know exactly what I'm about to say. All this junk food, processed food, the chips, cake, candy, fried foods don't really help us as athletes. And no, it's not the end of the world if you have from time to time, but you have a choice every day between something that's going to improve your health and your game and something that's going to add no value besides its taste. So it's up to you to decide what's most important. Guys, we gotta have a good base. In order for us to have that, we gotta understand what's most important to have in our diet. So our sports nutritionists and dietitians hooked it up. Here's what we got. This is a no-brainer. We all know the vegetables are important, but we'll start with these green leafy vegetables because they're high in antioxidants. So some version of these have gotta be in your daily diet. Broccoli, kale, spinach, all wildly important. Now, the other vegetables are no less important. Rotate them in if you can, and remember that cooking or frying your veggies is going to slightly hurt the nutritional value. So if you got to cook them, steam them. But no matter what, get them in. Remember, we're shoving all these veggies and fruit down because as athletes, we're putting an extensive amount of stress on our bodies. If you're lacking in the micronutrients that these things provide, you could easily be fatigued, have a little muscle damage, have less muscle strength, could even be throwing off your immune function. So don't forget about them at all. A good rule of thumb to have is that at least one meal a day should look like a food rainbow. Carbs have definitely been the bad guys in the media over recent years, and while there's obviously bad carbs, there are plenty that should be your friends. And here's a few that they suggest for us footballers. Things like rolled oats, muesli, quinoa and whole grain pasta, sweet potatoes, and brown rice. But what about gluten? Well, guys, it's a subject we clearly asked about, but we need a whole nother video devoted just to that. So if you're interested, comment below and maybe we'll get into it. Healthy fats are legit and we need them for all sorts of reasons. They support cell growth and they help provide energy for certain functions in the body. Things like nuts, chia seeds, olive oil, coconut oil, peanut butter, and avocados. Talk a little bit more about fat later. A lot of guys may be missing out on this last group here. Probiotic-rich foods like Greek yogurt, kefir, or kefir, because there's 8 million ways to pronounce this word. And of course, you've got kombucha. What are probiotics? Essentially live bacteria and yeast that are good for your health, your digestive system. Nearly everyone nowadays knows the importance of protein in their diet, so we don't have to spend too much time here. If you can, grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, great sources of protein. There are, of course, tons more. And you vegetarians just gonna have to wait for the next nutrition video. We'll get into it there. But for now, to simplify things, just know, if you're looking for protein, you can get it right there. You think dealing with water would be simple. We all know we need it, but how much and when? Well, the 8 glasses a day thing isn't as straightforward as it sounds. The amount of water you lose while you play is going to depend on how hard you're working, as well as the weather. If it's 4,000 degrees, you're obviously going to need more water. So to simplify, think of it this way. Proper hydration is a round-the-clock affair. You don't ever want to be dehydrated, but drinking water shouldn't have to be your life goal. Try and drink about a bottle of water 2 to 3 hours before a game or training. That's between 16 to 20 ounces. Try and get about half that in during warm-up and pre-game activities. Grab a few sips during the game if you can. And after the game, you're going to need to replace everything you've lost. In order to know that, you're going to have to weigh yourself before and after training and games. And who has time for that?
Nobody.
But if you do it a couple times, maybe once after a rough training and once after a full 90, you'll start to have an idea of where you should be at, and you can adjust from there. Coconut water, Coca-Cola,
Psych.
tea, coffee. You already met our friend kombucha from the probiotics, of which there are others, and sports drinks, but only when you actually need them, like training on hot days or during and after a hard workout. Guys, you should basically be eating about the same throughout the week. You don't want to randomly change your eating habits the day of a game. If you want to test something new out, you test it out in training. At least there's a bit less of a risk. So make sure you're smart when you're testing out new stuff, all right? All right, but what about our ratios? How much food and what percentage of carbs, protein, fat? Well, there's no simple answer, but there are some guidelines. And from there, you can test out what works best for you. Dealing with carbs is a bit trickier. Eat too little and you'll feel lethargic. Eat too much, you may run into other types of problems. So you may need up to 400 grams of carbs, depending on how hard and how long you train. Protein demands will also vary, but about 1 gram per pound of body weight if you're trying to maintain, and up to 1.5 if you're trying to put on some lean mass. And this is just a reminder for us to emphasize that we cannot forget our vegetables. Fats are a little less complicated. We want it to be around 30% of our diet. Just split it up between the 3 types of good fats, which we'll leave you guys here to check out on your own. This can be an issue for guys at times. It doesn't even have to be at breakfast. What matters most is that we get the proper amount of nutrients in our bodies, and this is where something like a super shake can come in handy. Super shake is made up of protein, carbs, and fat. Here's an example from our boy, performance nutritionist Phil Kingy. Grab a banana or 2, some spinach, 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, whey protein powder, coconut oil, some Greek yogurt, a little bit of cinnamon, and you can use water, almond milk, or organic milk, depending on what works best for you. Blend. And you're good to go. All right, guys, so to wrap it up, you've got some work ahead of you. You've been eating well, that's great. See where you can improve. If you haven't, cut that shit out. Start taking nutrition seriously and seeing what it can do for your game and for your life. We'll definitely make more of these, get into some other topics like guys that cramp up on the field, stuff like that. Throw us a like. These videos are helping you out. Comment and definitely subscribe. Check out our Patreon and PayPal links down below. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Subscribe.